Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Kevin Sheets. I'm going to be here teaching you another tenor trombone lesson today. So today we're going to be going over two scales. We're going to be going over the C major scale, 1 octave, and then we're going to be going over the A natural minor scale, 1 octave. Okay, so everybody please pull out your major scale sheets. We're going to be taking a look at the first one on the page, the concert C major scale. So I'm not sure if you guys have any straight horns or like school horns, or if you have a F attachment horn like this. So I'm going to be going over the scale, both scales with the different slide positions for each trombone. So I'm going to be starting off going over the slide positions for the first 3 bars. If you remember, we talked last time about articulations. We talked about going from between the different partials. So we're going to kind of establish that and work on that again today. So let's start out by playing the first 3 bars together. I'll go over it first, then I'll play as a demonstration. I'll give some time for you guys to work on it, just as always. And then when we come back together, we're going to play it together. Okay? So we're going to start first note, quarter note C. And it's going to be out in 6th position. And then 8th note D in 4th. E natural in 2nd position. That was the note we worked on last time. The E natural in 2nd, followed by F in 1st, G in 4th, A in 2nd, B. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the different note. That caught me off guard. So we have A in 2nd, and then B natural, which is going to be out in 4th position. Instead of B flat in 1st position, we want to think about raising that note up one half step. So it's going to be in 4th position, followed by C in 3rd position. So let me give a demonstration of that. So this is the first bar plus that quarter note downbeat on the 2nd bar. So you saw I went instead of. We don't have that B flat, and there we have the B natural in 4th position. And then if you take a look at the next measure, starting on that upper C, we have C, and it's just reverse, going back down. So we go back down to B natural in 4th position. Then we have A in 2nd, G in 4th, F in 1st, E natural in 2nd, D in 4th, and then C in 6th position. So this is what that'll sound like. Another example, that wasn't my best playing, so I'll play that one more time. There we go. So I'm going to now play the first 3 measures there, starting in the beginning and going to the dotted half note C natural. I'm going to play that twice, okay? I'm going to play the first time for all you people at home, for all you guys at home that don't have this F attachment. I'm going to play it out in 6th position, the C out in 6th position. Then the second time, I'm going to be more focused on the people that have the F attachment, and we're going to talk about where you can play that C instead of 6th. So here's for the people who are going to play it out in 6th. Okay, so for all of you folks at home that have that F attachment here, the trigger. So go ahead, we're going to play a C out in 6th. And then now we're going to hold that trigger down. We're going to come back into 1st position. We're going to play in 1st position, hold down that trigger, and then we're going to play that same note. You notice it is the same note. It sounds exactly the same. The reason for that And this can go for everybody in case you guys at one point get a horn like this that has this F attachment. So when we play a note, the longer we make this slide, the lower notes um, are produced. So the reason for that is because it elongates the tubing. So instead of just going to here and then going back, if you're in first position, you have now twice that length, in tubing that it has to go through, that the air has to go through. That's why the notes will get lower as you keep going. Now, what this does is it saves you a lot of time and a lot of muscle if you have, let's say, a fast passage. If you have to play, let's say, a B flat scale pretty fast, it'll save you a lot of time than if you go out into sixth position. You don't have to go out as far and you don't have to work as hard. Now, I'm not saying that those of you that don't have one of these, you're kind of out of luck. I'm not saying that at all. There are a lot of professionals that even prefer to go out to sixth position as opposed to playing the C in first position with the trigger, just because it feels a lot more comfortable with that. It just sometimes you have to work a little bit harder to get that to work. So I'm now going to play the same scale, the C major scale, using this trigger first position C. I'll take it a little slower so you guys can see how it works. So here's the beginning. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, everybody. Go ahead and play through this scale at the same tempo I was playing it. If you need to practice it a little slower, that's okay. Just make sure you get that B natural out in fourth position. So go ahead and pause the video, and then when you come back, we're going to play it all together. All right, now that we are ready to go, so we're going to play this scale together. I'm going to play it in trigger first. Okay, I'm going to play the trigger first C. So if you see me not going out to sixth position, that's why. So here we go. We're going to play the first three bars together. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Nice job, everybody. We want to make sure that we're also thinking about the wrist motion as we're going out further on the slide. We want to make sure that it's nice and relaxed. We don't want to have it very mechanically or mechanical at all. We don't want to be very stiff as we move across. We want to make sure it's nice and relaxed, just like as we get higher and lower on the mouthpiece or on the horn. We don't push against our face too hard. We want to make sure that we're nice and relaxed as we go out. Let's play that one more time. This time I'll play the C out in sixth with you guys, okay? And 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Nice job, everybody. So now we're going to move on to the second half of this scale, which is the arpeggio. If you remember, we talked last time, the arpeggio is the first scale degree, the third scale degree, the fifth scale degree, and then a repeat of the first scale degree just an octave higher. So in this case, I'm going to play both examples of the C in sixth and then the C in trigger first. So we have our first scale degree, which is C, which is out in sixth. We have the E natural in second position, the G in fourth position, and then the upper C in third position. And then it's just the opposite of that going down. We have the fourth, second on the E, and then C in second. So here's an example of that arpeggio. Okay, now I'll do a demonstration of the same arpeggio, now playing the C in trigger first. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video, give that a shot on your own. One thing to work on before you pause the video is just making sure that you don't have any what I like to call slide cheese. But that's when you go from a note to a note on the same partial, and you hear a lot of other notes in between. So here's an example. You hear I'm playing the C to the E just fine, and you hear I'm stopping on those notes. But there were other notes in between that you also heard too. It wasn't note and then a note. It was note and then noise and then the other note. Now, this is pretty typical for trombonists. I know the professionals that still have to work on this stuff. They're college students, high school students. It's very common. It's a very common error in a trombonist life, in a trombonist world, and that's okay. That's why we practice. That's how we break things down. When you're going from trigger first to the second position, it's not as tricky because it's kind of like a partial change. You don't have to move the slide off that much. You just let go of the trigger and move it out to second position. But if you're going from sixth to second, it's a actually really large jump, a large leap that you have to move the slide. So one thing that you can practice to combat this, and when you pause the video to work on the arpeggio, is just playing the C, moving the slide to second position, and then back down. And then increase the speed as you start to do that. So start slow, start with a lot of space in between there so you can move your slide swiftly to the next position. You want to think about the air not necessarily breaking or the airstream to stop, but you want to make sure that when you move the slide, you're also your slide and your tongue are working together, so you can make sure that there's not the air is getting cut off by your tongue when you go to articulate the next note, so that your tongue and the slide are not working together. And that's, of course, when you work it up to speed. So just when we pause the video, when we work on that arpeggio, let's just practice making sure that we have that nice, clean movement, that we're all working together, all parts are working together, moving from the C to the E, and then back down to the C. So let me play one more time. I can't remember if I played the C in sixth arpeggio, but I'm gonna demonstrate both of the arpeggios one more time, and then you can go ahead and pause the video. Do it again. And so go ahead and pause the video and work on that on your own, and then we're going to do that together. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at those last two bars there, last ones that we just worked on, the arpeggios. I'm going to play it in trigger first. For those of you that have to play it in sixth, I'm just going to play it in trigger first. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Let's do it one more time. Now I'm going to play it in sixth position. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Nice job, everybody. Really nice job. I know that can be kind of tedious working the slide positions. We are not as blessed as many other instruments are that you can just press a button or valves and notes will just happen. We have to work a little harder. But that hard work, I think, pays off. That's why we're considered the instruments of the gods. I mean, not to brag or anything, a little hair flip. We earn it. But if you just keep working on that, keep working on the moving of the slide, making sure that all parts are working together. Over time, it will start to work and it will start to develop and you'll get stronger at it. That's why we practice. That's why we do these scales to work on these sort of things, to work on the fundamentals. So now that we have done a lot of talking and a lot of working on the arpeggios, let's play the whole first line together. So I don't. If you need to pause the video and practice it, you can. Otherwise, go ahead and pause it right now. Otherwise, we'll just play it together. Okay? Okay. Now that we have everybody together, here we go. We're going to start at the beginning. I'm going to play it in trigger first, the C in trigger first. So let's play the whole thing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Let's do it one more time. I'm going to make sure I get a deeper breath, a bigger breath in the beginning so I can make it all the way to the end of the third bar there. And another thing that you can work on as you're going through this is you don't have to play what the written articulation on there. If you're going and practicing on your own and you get bored of just playing the same, try and play with legato tone. That's another great way to try and work on moving between note and note without having a lot of slide cheese as well. So we're going to play this whole thing one more time. We're just going to articulate it. I'll let you guys work on the legato tonguing during the week. It's really important that you work on both kind of styles. So if you see this sort of passage in music, in any of your band music, any of your etude books or anything like that, it won't be as difficult to try and pick up and learn. So here we go. And a 1, 2. All right. Nice job, everybody. Nice job. Nice work on that. So now we're going to change gears again. So everybody, um, please find your minor scales. Let me pull that up on here. Give me 1 second. Minor scales. Okay. There we go. Now, if everybody could go, let's see, find the natural minor scales page. It's the third one from the bottom. The A natural minor scale. So if you recall back to last lesson, we talked about circle of fifths and circle of fourths. We talked about how to find a minor scale from a major key. So let's do an experiment. So we talked about it being the 6th scale degree. So if we have a C major scale, our first scale degree is C, second one's D, third one is E, fourth one is F, fifth one is G, and then the 6th one is A. Now that means that the natural minor scale for a C major scale is A minor. Okay? And now if we take a look at there, take a look at the key signature, we notice that there are no sharps or flats, just like in C major. So now we got that. Let's see. Yep. Okay. So if you take a look here, it's kind of the similar pattern to what we were just playing. Now we have half notes and quarter notes. Excuse me. So let me go through these notes on the slide. I'm going to do it 2 times. I'm going to do it for horn folks and then the F attachment folks. So we have A natural in second position, B natural, low B natural. So instead of being fourth, it's going to be in seventh position, all the way out in seventh position. So we have A in second, B in seventh. We have C in sixth position. That's only half step away from this low B. We have D in fourth, E natural in second, F in first, G in fourth, and A in second. And then reverse order going back. So we have A in second, G in fourth, F in first, E in second, D in fourth, C in sixth, B in seventh, back to A in second. Okay. Now, if you have an F attachment horn, this is where things start to get a little different. Only the first 3 notes really are different. The other notes are exactly the same as the other guys. So we have A in second position, the low A. For B, you want to think about finding the halfway point on your slide between between second and third position. So that's about right here. Bring this a little closer so you can see there. So it's like that's second, that's third. We're gonna call that 2.5. So this is 2.5, second and a half position. And then you want to put your trigger down. That's gonna be your low B. Okay? So for an example, so instead of having to go out, so how much my arm had to move there. You go from second position out a little bit to 2.5, put the trigger down. That'll save you a lot of time, a lot of energy. So go ahead, take some time on your own if you have, or if you're struggling with that, if this is brand new to you, especially. Take some time when you're warming up. Practice going from that A to B to A to B to A. Just in quarter notes or half notes. Work with a tuner also. Working with a tuner is a great way to help yourself out in this sort of aspect. Because it's really easy to not move at all. And it still sounds like a B. Still sounds like a B, but it's not going to lock in as nicely as if you move it out a little bit to 2.5. It doesn't resonate as much. It doesn't have the nice quality of sound as if you moved it out to 2.5. So practice that on your own as we're going through this. So we're going to have, going back to the scale, we have A in second, then new note B natural, low B natural in 2.5. We have C in first with the trigger, and then D in fourth, and then from there on it's the same for the other trombones. We have E in second, F in first, G in fourth, A in second. Okay. So let's practice the scale now. Let's practice the scale portion of this. So we're going to take it from the first measure, first half note to the third half note. So from A all the way up the scale and then back down. Okay, so I'll give a demonstration. I'll play it twice. I'll give a demonstration of no trigger and then a demonstration with trigger. Here's with the trigger. So go ahead and pause. then when we reconvene, we'll work on that scale together. All right, welcome back. So let's play that scale. We're going to play it twice. I'm going to demonstrate it both ways as we go through. So here we go from the beginning. I'm going to play it without the trigger the first time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, nice job. I'm going to play it again. I'm going to play with the trigger now. 1, 2, 3. Job, everybody. So the folks that have the F attachment, I encourage you to still work on both ways, going out to 7th and 6th for the B and C, just so you can make sure that you are strong and confident out in that range too, and you don't forget about those notes. Well, there will be some passages that it would be a lot easier for you to play those notes out there than if you were to come in for anything like that. Let's say, for example, it would be a lot easier for me to play the D flat in 5th if I'm ending on C about the 6th than it would be D flat to C in 1st. You might run into stuff like that in your ensemble playing, or if you are in a marching band playing trombone, or just if you're working out of any sort of book or any sort of H's, that might be easier for you to do. So I encourage you to practice it both ways, that you make sure that you don't forget about those notes, that their roots are still in 6th and 7th position. So just make sure that you're working on those too. So now to finish it off, let's play the A minor arpeggio. So our first category is A, our second one is C, our third is E, and then the top one back to our first category is A, and then we just come back down. So I'll play it both ways for you. I'll play C in 6th and C in trigger first. Okay, so I'll play in trigger first. Pause the video and give that a shot on your own. I'll get a drink. All right. All right, so now we're back. Let's play that together. We're going to play it 2 times. I'm going to do it both ways. Here you go. Here's the first time. I'm going to go out to 6th for this one. And 1, 2, 3. And one more time so I can get that trigger first one in there. And 1, 2, 3. All right, nice job, friends. Let's try and play this together, the whole thing together. We're going to play it 2 times so we can try and establish that solid foundation, working on going between the notes. And referring back to what I was talking about on the C major scale, it's really important that you guys practice doing multiple different articulation styles. So, what we're doing, just regular articulation, you can practice it staccato. Oh my gosh, excuse me. You can practice it staccato, practice it marcato, or marked, kind of heavy, or you could practice it legato. So it's really important that you work on these scales and all these different styles. So if you see something like this in music, in your music that you're working on in band, it won't come as much of a shock, and you have already worked on it and understand what it's supposed to sound like. So we won't worry about that right now. We're just going to play a nice simple articulation. So here we go. From the beginning, do the whole thing. And 1, 2, with the trigger notes now. And a 1, 2, 3. Right, excellent job, guys. Really nice work. So now we talked about the C major scale and the A natural minor scale today. We talked about the trigger notes. If you guys were not introduced to those yet, we talked about buzzing, the importance of buzzing in a warm up. We talked about we talked about moving the slide together, making sure all of the parts are working together. The tongue, the arm, the air. Make sure that we are working on all of that. And working on different articulation styles when we work on these scales. So we make sure that as we're practicing these scales, we're also practicing other characteristic sounds and other characteristic musical qualities and expressions that might pertain to other pieces of music that we're working on in our repertoire. So thank you all very much for a great lesson. Excellent work. Keep it up. Keep practicing. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one.